Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to On the Fives. I'm your host, Nicole. I am part of the Red Five Network, and I'm so excited to be here tonight because it is the 1 year anniversary of On the Fives. What is On the Fives in the first place? Well, I created this idea over a year ago. The idea was that I was beginning to run the Red Five Reading Book Club, and I wanted to get to know my fellow Red Five members as well as my friends and other content creators and get to know authors. And in this last year, I was able to do just that. And I'm very excited that everyone is here tonight to join me in celebrating the 1 year anniversary of On the Fives. Again, it's also in conjunction with the Red Five Reading Book Club. It has been a wonderful year. We have been busy reading from 1 year ago. We started reading the Star Wars trilogy of Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn, which we absolutely loved. We have read many other books, Missions to Mars. We have read Dracula. I don't know, probably 8, 10 books, and I'm so excited. So if you are new here, welcome. If you want to join us and haven't yet been able to join us in book club, you're more than welcome to join us. We have channels made just for people who can't always make it to book club, and I would love for it if you could join us. Not only can you join the Red Five book club, which is underneath Red Five Reading on Twix, you can also check out BioLink/Red5 because there's a bunch of other podcast content creators that have wonderful things that you get to explore and get to know, and also the Red Five Tavern. So come enjoy and check it all out. Again, thank you to everybody who has joined tonight. Coming up for the Red Five reading, we are just beginning Skipping Christmas by John Grisham, also known as Christmas with the Cranks. And I'm really excited for this fun read because coming up in January, we are going to be reading Michael Crichton and John Patterson's Eruption. I'm so excited to go on this new adventure with all of my fellow Red Five readers. I'm very excited. And it's not too late to join us for either of these really good reads. Before I bring out my guest for tonight, because trust me, this is a fun night and I want to celebrate everyone. I want to stop and say thank you to everybody who has come, been a guest, that's been in my chat. I really do appreciate you. I appreciate anytime that you've hit the like button, you've subscribed, if you've gotten to join us in the Red Five reading. Huge shout out to my fellow Red Fiver and founder of a Red Five Row, because he has been the man behind the screen who has been assisting me like this past year and teaching me and helping me. And I am still learning, but he has been very patient with me and I appreciate him. So make sure you follow him on Twitter, Twix, because, X is whatever. Very importantly, make sure you follow him because he's been amazing. And thank you to all my Red Five fellow book club members because it has been a wonderful journey. I can't believe that it's already been a year since we started this journey, and it's just very exciting. I'd like to say hello to our chat. Hello to you, Baldo. Hello, Backyard TARDIS. Hello, Nicholas. It's always great to see you. I saw Isaac. It's great to see. I see Ro actually also in our chat, and it's just so great to see everybody here. Again, to those who are watching and not saying hello to you too, because sometimes we are lurking, and that is okay. Feel free to put us on in the background. This weekend, though, I had a little wonderful surprise. I was just downtown having a good time, lunch and all this other good stuff. And I was stopping in at my local bookstore, which, by the way, check out your local bookstores, check out your local businesses, give them that business. It's really important for your local economy. Anyways, getting back to what I was saying, I had a really good moment because I happened to stop into my local bookstore. I knew they had an author coming soon, but I couldn't remember what day. Lucky me. I was very lucky because this past Saturday, I got to meet a author out of New York by the name of Clara McKenna, and she writes books. She writes murder mysteries and romance and all this stuff. And it was wonderful to meet her. One of her books is Murder at Morrington Hall, and I bought her whole series, you guys. I am so excited. For those who don't know, I love more than just science fiction. I love Dracula. I love, Jane Austen and a wide variety of books. And it is so great to meet another to meet this author, to meet another author. And it's just been so exciting. She was very kind, very hospitable, and it was just awesome to meet her. So, yes. So make sure you check her out. She is on Instagram. Again, her name is Clara McKenna. If you are a Jane Austen person, if you love Downton Abbey, if you love Bridgerton, I've already started reading this first one. Highly recommend. If this is your type of read, this is good. Okay, if you're into Bridgerton, Downton Abbey, any murder, mystery, romance, this is it. Check it out. So yeah, I also see in the chat, I want to say hello to Scott, my fellow Using Views co-host. I see him there because I'm also part of that podcast. So I want to say thank you. And thank you again for everyone for being here. It has just been it's so exciting to see everybody here. And I am always, always grateful. But without further ado, let's have some fun tonight. A year ago, I brought on for my first guest, Ro of Scarif Podcast and Red 5 founding member. He's not alone though. Last year at this time, we have our other special guest, the other part of Scarif Podcast, Brad, who was out to sea at the time. So I wasn't able to bring him on, but I'm excited because he's here tonight with Ro. Both of them are here, and I welcome them, and I'm glad they're both here so I can nerd out with both of them.
What's up, Scuttle Buddies?
I know. I'm so excited. I get to finally have you both here, and I get to finally have Brad on, and it just feels like it's full circle.
Sort of. How do we know that's really Brad?
It could be a clone.
Could be.
Because I have the Empire symbol, that's why.
He could be, he could be in cahoots with Cam.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, my cam's not working, so.
Oh, exactly. See how that works?
Here, just so you don't feel left out.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
Yours is way cooler than mine
today. Well,
Nicole, how's it going?
It's going. This is I can't believe it's been a year.
Mm-hmm. It has been a year.
I've learned a few more buttons. I've learned a few more tricks.
You're
much still way better at the board than I am, but you've got a little bit more experience on me though. You got a few more years,
I like pushing buttons.
I'm sure you do.
And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see all these people in the chat too.
I know.
Happy anniversary.
I know. Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. And Red 5 reading. It is very exciting. This has been exciting. And I don't think I expected, I'm okay with small and mighty, which we are for the book club and stuff, because we've been able to develop these wonderful friendships and connections. And it has just been empowering and encouraging. And there are times where we get to book club and we're talking other stuff because we're in it together. We're just having community, which I absolutely love. So
I've been, I said earlier, I was very impressed at how you took on the mantle of the reading book club and all the things that you've done and organizing it and getting together with all the wonderful people that are in the book club. And it's wonderful to see. I've been in the Discords from time to time, kind of, checking you guys out and listening.
What did you say, bro?
The disc, whatever it is called, the cable, the electrical cord or whatever it is called. But it's just wonderful to see the interaction and the discussion and the community that you have created in the book club. It's really fantastic.
It has been wonderful. And it's been great. He's pulling our legs. Reading is not hard. He knows that. It's fun. You got to pick the right book and then you're set. It's really good. Hello, Patrick. I know he also likes to follow Scarif Podcast. I see him in our chats and stuff. Seen him a few times at C2E2 in the past, which is, can you believe it? as soon as we get done with the holidays, that's where we start to focus our minds on.
Sure. Yeah.
One of these times we have to get Brad up here for C2E2.
Absolutely.
I'm working on it.
I know you, but you got a young one, so I totally understand. But
Well, I made it to the same time zone, so we took care of that.
yes.
Yeah. Baby steps. Baby steps.
Yes.
I am absolutely no closer, but I made it to the same time zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least there's that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Patrick, you're hilarious. Hooked on Phonics did not work for him. Well, my apologies, sir. We also offer audio.
Does Audible count as reading? Is that a question you talk about?
We allow it. We do. We actually talk about it. We've had conversations also in Dracula because Ubaldo and I read. We both read it, but we also listened to it. There was another person that listened to it, but in a different form. So we even talked about that, like the variations, because Dracula, goes from letter to journal to this and this, and asking, hey, how does that? How
that'd be hard to read, or that would be hard to listen to almost, I think.
Well, right. And we asked that question. And oddly enough, most of the people actually said no, they really enjoyed it. Those who were doing Audible enjoyed it. I actually read and listen both at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because it's nice to hear the voices. That was another thing. Somebody had mentioned that they liked hearing the variations of the voices, and that made a difference.
I read all my Star Wars books a la Mark Thompson nowadays. Like I can't, he does all the audibles for Star Wars nowadays. Mm-hmm. And I can't read a book now without hearing his voice doing it.
Nice.
What's a treat is when they have a full cast, like Brad, what was that book by Kevin Scott?
Yeah. The Dooku had a full lineup. They're doing that more now. Like Audible's putting out their own, that vampire series that Audible came out with, the post-apocalyptic vampire series that Audible made and produced. And that sounded like a 1940s radio show.
Oh, that's great.
I'm there.
It was just amazing. Yeah, I'll look up the name of it. It's fantastic though.
Yes. I know we have a few more months open for next year. Next year is already booking up. I'm so excited. And I know our book club has grown even recently. So I'm excited for that because there's a few new members that have joined in because they heard we're doing Skipping Christmas and went, we want to join. I'm like, yay, go us.
Impact Winter is the name of that one. You guys want to check it out.
Impact Winter?
Yep. It's 2 seasons long now.
Yep. Impact Winter to all my friends are in the chat. Who's that by?
Let's see who wrote it. It's an Audible original.
Wow.
With a full cast.
That's
Travis
cool.
Travis Beecham is the author.
Yep, there we go. Okay, Impact Winter. Interesting. It's something that we would have to discuss. I mean, we are really good about that in the book club, is discussing polls. A lot of times I try to put out polls also on Twix, but there are a few times where we just do a few right in Discord, for those who are regulars that are just here. And I'm like, okay, I want their input because I think that's important. They're there putting in time, I want their say. So I know next year we're going to be reading Eruption. We're going to be reading a C.S. Lewis space trilogy. Y'all, I did not know this, but Adam, from a certain point of view, texts me about 5-6 months ago and says, hey, did you know that C.S. Lewis has a space trilogy? And I'm like, no. Why am I finding this out now? And oddly enough, a few weeks later, Isaac in our chat, he goes, oh, look what I got. I didn't see that, bro. I did not see that. Scott.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, he knows. I know. This was a hard one. I know for them. Anyways, and Isaac says, oh my gosh, he had just bought them. And that quickly, everyone was on board. They all wanted to read it. So we will be reading that also after Eruption next year. So I'm very excited for that. I can't wait to see what science fiction looks like in other elements, like
in other elements,
or
sure.
Star Wars. It's really cool to see the other variations. And somebody recently also mentioned Tolkien. So I'm like, oh, we might be also reading. We might be adding in the Hobbit next year. Yeah. We'll see.
I wanted to ask Nick, because he talks about full production on the Doctor Who audio dramas, and I think I've heard one. Well, who is that doctor who didn't have a lot of episodes? I forgot his name.
Patrick might know this, but I don't.
Yeah. There
And
was
if I had my
so
other,
there was a short Doctor Who kind of like a video episode that had him crash land, and he either died or he reformulated. What do you call it? He regenerated. Oh,
they all regenerate.
yeah. Now I can't remember, but if I remember the actor's name.
I'm going to ask the audience if you're currently in our chat. If you're a Doctor Who fan, will you please let us know this answer? I know Patrick might, because Patrick is a Doctor Who fan.
Paul McGann.
Who?
Paul McGann.
Okay, there you go, Paul McGann.
I want so badly to be a Doctor Who fan, but all episodes I've seen so far are goofy. They're just weird, man.
I have yet to. Okay, I've only seen 2 episodes. I've seen, and they've both been old. One at my friend Patrick's house, who's in our chat right now, and then one at our friend Dana's house. That's it. 2. And what I'm noticing is anything new, nobody likes. I've yet to hear one good thing.
Well, I think it's the new ones after. I mean, obviously the when Disney started co-producing with BBC, people have issues with those because Disney. But you guys should get Nick on board, because he is like, obviously he's the backyard TARDIS. He knows Doctor Who. And I actually started watching Doctor Who. I didn't like Doctor Who, the original ones, like the old ones, the black and white ones.
I like those ones. I was watching those on BritBox, and I thought those were pretty cool.
And I watched one of them. My friend Dana is in at Patrick's. I watched one of like the newer ones, but not new Disney. Like,
yeah, those are a little goofy. But the Christopher Eccleston, that's when I started watching like the newer Doctor Who's with my son, and we watched. I don't know what season that is or series, but we watched everything from then on to the new ones until Peter Capaldi, and then we dropped off towards the end of Peter Capaldi with Jodie Whittaker. But we watched all of them, and I mean, geez, the stories are really pretty inventive, and but Nick said it in the chat. Doctor Who is goofy, but it's just the way the actors bring their own gravitas to the role, and the supporting casts are just great. I mean, it's goofy science fiction, BBC type stuff. But
I just had a total funny thought. Okay, for anybody who's watched the show knows that I had Spencer on about a month, 2 months ago, and we had read, or I was on his show, and we both read this book where they had Donald Duck is going, into they're creating the characters into Marvel characters. Actually, it was a really good read. I'd like to make a mention. So I was just thinking in my brain, like, wouldn't that be funny if they created Goofy to be Doctor Who? Comic book, but only in comic book style, and it has to be the classic, because I love that classic look, that classics.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes. Oh my gosh. But I love the variations of science fiction, which is what I'm very excited about to see with C.S. Lewis, to see like, well, how does he differ from the newer, like with Star Wars? I say newer because that's older in comparison to the 90s, Star Wars era, the Empire series. And then of course we have the others, from Thrawn and stuff that are later. So I'm very excited.
Has there been an author that crosses genres like that? And obviously, you've got this C.S. Lewis, like fantasy, not really science fiction-y, but, and then now he's going into like, is it like hardcore science fiction?
I don't know.
Like,
I haven't
like
read it
Dune,
yet.
or
I don't know. That's why I'm so excited. Like I'm not reading any of it until I get there. Scott and Ubaldo, I'm looking at you too. That's right. My fellow Red 5 rating book club brothers. But I'm not getting ahead. I cannot wait though, because I'm excited. I am very excited for that. So, and of course, anybody's more than welcome to join. You guys can join.
Brad, are you excited, Brad?
Of course. Can't you see my face?
Not fair. But hey, we're going to go ahead and start our this or that, because I want to get some fun questions going here. All right. And then at the end, Brad gets a bonus, and you can't tell him what it is. So unless Brad's watched all the episodes, he knows what the bonus question is already. but
He doesn't listen to our podcast. He doesn't watch any Red 5 videos. So I think we're good.
Well, I mean, only half of that is true. I,
understand. And you can follow all of us at BioLink/Red5 because we are Red 5 and we support each other.
Patrick has a point. I think one of
is this
I've
Doctor
got
Who?
Yes, Doctor Who.
Okay.
Blink is like, okay, so real fast, like Doctor Who does have some goofy elements, but when they really craft a weird time travel story that intertwines with itself, Blink has to probably be one of the best stories out there in science fiction.
which Doctor Who was that?
It's what's his name? David Tennant.
Okay, so he's the best one, isn't he? Isn't that what they say?
Well,
there's another
between him and Matt Smith. Matt Smith was a very popular Doctor Who. But I grew up when I first heard of Doctor Who, I grew up with Tom Baker.
Okay,
but again,
I watched one with Tom Baker. That was one of them, and the other one
was fantastic.
I'm trying to remember the other doctor. Like I know his face because he was also did The Crown. Matt Smith. It was Matt Smith.
Oh yeah.
They tried to get Matt Smith, or people wanted Matt Smith to play Thrawn when the Ahsoka series came out. There's a big push for that.
Yeah, I can see it. I can totally see it. But yeah, I've only watched 2 episodes. I'm sorry.
Well, Matt Smith was going to be young Palpatine until they screwed the pooch and changed the story a bit.
For which?
For the sequel trilogy.
Oh, okay.
When they first announced the actors, Matt Smith was in all the rosters.
That's right.
And,
yeah, he was.
And then all of a sudden, like secretly thinking that we wouldn't notice, they took him out.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are all the doctors. Wow, Colin Baker has changed.
I've only watched 2 episodes.
Yeah, but yes, Patrick, thank you so much for reminding me how amazing Blink is.
So before we get started with the this or that, Ubaldo has a fighting words question. Who is your favorite Doctor Who?
Where'd it go?
You have it.
Oh, fighting words. Who's the best Doctor?
It's on the screen.
Between you two, because obviously I've only watched 2 episodes, so I don't think mine counts, and I liked both of them, but I never got into it, so I don't know. Yeah,
so I'm gonna have to ask or defer my answer to Nick, the other uber Doctor Who fan. I would venture to say that there is no best Doctor Who, because honestly, I do believe that each actor brings something different to the role.
That's a political answer on this election day.
No politicals.
You're a politician. Answer the question.
I don't know.
Who is your favorite Doctor Who? How about that?
Who's your favorite Doctor?
It's a toss up, really. David Tennant, Matt Smith. But I think I fell in love with some of the stories, or more stories, during the David Tennant reign than Matt Smith. Matt Smith had some really amazing storylines, but I think some of the stuff that happened story-wise and canon-wise from the David Tennant Doctor Who were kind of mind-boggling. And I mean, we had River Song, the whole River Song situation, which is Doctor Who's supposed wife. So it was, I would say David Tennant. And Brad, did you see this?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. You know, a lot of people did not like Peter Capaldi, whether it was for his age or how different he brought life into the character. But I really enjoyed the older gentleman right before Jodie Whittaker, after Matt Smith.
Yeah, she was very. I remember people talking about that and how controversial. At the same time, I'm like, why are we not being open? And this is before I met you guys. Man, I needed to have known you two by then, because how much more knowledge I could have gained.
I know. We exude knowledge. Isn't that right, Brad?
Gain knowledge from you. You don't have to kiss it. We're already on the show. No one's ever accused us of exuding knowledge, though.
It's true. You guys definitely have. I have gained a lot of knowledge from you guys and our fellow Red Fibers over the last. Okay, I've
All
known
right.
Ro
Well,
for 4 years. Oh my gosh, Ro, we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary
what are you going to get me?
in March. I don't know. I mean, last year I got you a pretty cool birthday present, so
Yes, it's over
I don't
here.
know how I
So
can top that
I
one
know.
right now.
And you don't have to. You don't have to.
I know I don't have to, but that was a yeah. We will always have Vader.
We will.
We'll always have Vader. See, Brad, you got to get up here. We have like there is something about the local Red 5 fun when we are able to get together, but it is fun when we get together. So just saying.
I'm looking for it. All right.
All
We'll
right.
stop taking over the show here.
All right, you guys. So this round of this or that is 5 questions. This and that. It's all book more. However, today there will be a bonus one. And you know this question, don't yell it out in the chat, please. If you've been following, don't do that. It's not kind. I'm sure Ro already knows what it is, but we're going to leave it last. It's just going to be for Brad. I created a whole new set because Ro is also included today. So I wanted to make sure he didn't have any of the same questions that he had a year ago or I think the last time. So all new questions. So here we go. Would you, this is a would you question, stop reading when tired or at chapter breaks?
Am I first?
Sure.
Chapter breaks. If yeah, I can't do mid chapter. That's not a thing for me. If I'm tired, I don't start another chapter. But if I've already started one, I'm committed. Like I'll look to see if I'm tired. I'll look to see how many pages the chapter is. If it's a bunch of pages, I'll stop. If it's a pretty short, I'll keep going. But I can't stop mid chapter.
Ro.
I could stop mid chapter, but then when I get back to it, I'll go back.
But comic books don't have chapters, do they?
Where's Spencer when I need him? He would be laughing all over that one.
But yeah, I mean, I think if I'm tired, I'll force myself to go to the next chapter because it's easier to kind of put that bookmark in there and close the book. But I'm such a bad reader that I don't know. I don't know when I'll get back to the book. So whether I put mid chapter or at the chapter, I'll have to kind of reread like up until what I read because I don't retain it up here. Even when I'm reading, I get distracted. I'm like, what did I just read? Yeah. So, but if I had to pick an either or, chapter breaks because it's easier.
Yeah, me too. Chapter breaks.
Yeah, people like Ubaldo and then Andrew from Science Fictionary. People that read like crazy. I'm like, oh, I envy you guys because, you know, when I read a good book, it's like, oh wow, that was pretty cool. But it's hard for me because my mind goes doo-doo-doo-doo. Actually makes that sound too.
We might need to get that as a sound bite. All right, next question. Next with this or that. Would you rather read a collection of short stories by the same author or an anthology of short stories by different authors?
Oh, that's a good one.
You going first this time?
I think I would go with the different authors because you get different voices. I think it's similar to when we had Star Wars Visions. Each little story was by a different company, a different director, a different set of creatives. So I think it would be interesting to kind of go in that vein and just see these new stories from a different point of view by different people.
And there is a collection of those.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about from a different point of view though, or from a certain point of view, like
why? Maybe I'll save that question.
Yeah, say what? No, I'm definitely down for various authors. Right now I'm reading a Call to Cthulhu, which is there's a bunch of books with that same name, but this one is a bunch of short stories with different people's take on Cthulhu type stories, and it's pretty good. And like Rose said, getting different people's writing style and stuff like that. I think it's more entertaining if you're going to read short stories.
Very good. Awesome. All right. This is, again, random bookworm question. But with your guys' book collections, do you alphabetize by author? Do you alphabetize by title? Or do you colorize?
I don't organize a damn thing. I just like, if there's space somewhere, that's where the book goes.
He's like, he just throws it.
I mean, unless it's like a trilogy, then I'll keep those together. But no, I'll just, if there's a spot next to one book, I'm like, that's where it's going.
Yeah, my books are in no particular order, and I know exactly where they are at the same time.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if that's like a male thing. Anybody in the chat, do you guys think that it's like a male thing?
There's a Virgo thing.
It could be that too.
Maybe.
Since half of us are Virgos anyway.
I don't know. I'm a Cancer crab.
Chronological. Oh my God. No, I can't even. I can't do that. Chronological on an in-universe
Well, I've got a fantastic book if you need the
right. Nice little database there.
When I'm able to, I try to do like Star Wars, and then all my Star Wars, and then they are, I don't know, usually they're gathered together by the authors. And then I try to like all of my Wizard of Oz books, all of my Jane Austen books, like all my books are in collections together. Does that make sense? But they're not necessarily like together.
Hey,
but I'm with Rad though. I know I may not organize my books, but I know exactly where they are.
Yeah. Nicole, have you read Brandon Sanderson?
Have what?
Have you read Brandon Sanderson?
I don't think so, but I'm writing that name down right now. So
okay, so I mean, whenever you want to do a reading of the Mistborn trilogy, I'm down. It is my favorite trilogy of all time. That's not Star Wars.
So I guess you'll be dropping that suggestion today in the Red 5 reading channel suggestion.
Yeah, Mistborn. It's.
So Brandon, I remember. They remember.
Basically, just imagine a fantasy version of Star Wars. It's Brandon Sanderson, who, if you ever read the Wheel of Time series, he's the one that finished the Wheel of Time series after the original author died. But yeah, the Mistborn series, coolest trilogy I ever read.
Neat.
Is there a movie about that?
No, but there absolutely should be. I don't know why there's not either a movie or a Netflix series. I have no idea why not. They've been talking about it for years now.
Yeah,
but they have never done it.
It says, because it's weird, IMDb says feature film based on Brandon Sanderson's fantasy book about a crew of rebels with magical abilities that are trying to overthrow a nefarious ruler.
What?
Interesting.
I guess,
maybe
like you said, yeah.
He also had the biggest Kickstarter of all time.
Oh, wow.
The one that he ran last year is the biggest one of all time.
Interesting. I'll have to look that up. Brandon Sanderson. I will totally look that up. But yeah, put in our Red 5 reading suggestion, because that way I see it, they all see it, and people start going, ooh, yeah, let's do it. And
all right.
It's easier. So, all right, next question. Scarif or Hoth? Where are y'all going? If you're going to go into the books, you're going to one planet. Going to Scarif or going to Hoth? As we approach the season of either or.
Is this pre-Rogue One or post-Rogue One?
Your choice. Don't care.
Pre-Rogue One Scarif.
If it was post, what would you choose?
Scarif.
Scarif.
No, why would you go to Hoth on purpose?
Right.
I mean,
some
I guess
like winter.
Chicago. I mean, I guess it's Chicago. It's not too far off.
Look at this one. I mean, you're closer to Scarif, Brad, than
than
one.
I am, right?
Or us.
With none of the beaches down here.
Yeah.
Well, nice, probably nicer, slightly.
I mean, I would pick Scarif post Rogue One because the danger has passed.
No, it's not. Did you read the comics after that? Half the planet's been destroyed.
Don't ruin his
Just that little corner over there.
And it took out a whole chunk of the planet.
Aw, Isaac said you guys can cuddle with a wampa.
I got a Tauntaun sleeping bag.
That's so funny.
Okay, would you rather have your favorite character put into to come out of a book, or would you rather go into your favorite book?
Like a character come out in the real world and like he's here?
Yep. Or would you rather go into the book with your favorite character?
I think I'd like to go in. Just because the fantasy would be there. I mean, bringing somebody into this world, it's like you're still here, right? I would rather, I'd rather enjoy the fantasy of getting into the book.
Yeah, and what if they don't like you and they just like never you rip them out and they're like, "Who the hell are you?" And
right, who the hell are you? Where am I?
Again.
Yeah.
I have some smart.
I mean, I'm thinking, I think too much about these things. Can my family come with me, or is it just me by myself?
Or can you go in and come back out anytime you want? Just so Brad doesn't get lonely.
Yeah. Can Ro come with me?
Well, I guess because you guys are going to go to Scarif together, I guess.
No, I'd bring her out because that universe, that once you read about it, it's pretty much a shithole. Yeah. So
I heard him say her.
I know. Wait, what?
Read the Mistborn series. If anybody in the chat has read it, let me know. Read the Mistborn series. You'll see.
I feel like there's tea with this. Like, I'm like, what am I missing?
A little bit.
We're gonna have to. Now he's like,
read the first 2 chapters and then let me know. You're gonna be hooked. That's all I can say.
All right. So one last question and then the bonus question. Okay, for just Brad. But before then, would you rather have your favorite book made into a comic book or made into a movie?
Great question.
Is it Disney?
It's up to you. It's your imagination. It's your world. It's your answer.
A comic book or a movie?
Disney. He's such a dork. They don't ruin everything. If it was Walt Disney, you'd be fine, okay?
Definitely movies. I mean, also a comic book, but no. If you once you read that, you'd want to see it on the big screen. Trust me.
But don't skimp on things. I think if it happens to be a trilogy, then it's a trilogy. But I think don't do make Dune like 90 minutes long. Just take its time. And I would say movie because I think for an audience it's a little more visceral and a little more mainstream than turning it into a comic book. Obviously the comic book will come in last, especially what's up, Loki?
I know, welcome.
Oh, I'm going to ask Loki, what was your favorite book that was made into a movie that wasn't very good? And I have one, actually. I suggested it a long time ago for the reading club, the Miss Peregrine and the Peculiar Children. Love the book. Love the book. Hated the movie. John dies at the end.
Is he giving away something that I haven't read?
No, I guess I asked him what book, and he says John dies at the end. Was that a movie? John. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the danger of having something created into a movie that used to be a book, because there's a lot of nuance in the book that can't be recreated on film. A lot of directors try, but there's a good give and take.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'm going to take a quick moment to check my plug-in because my plug-in is telling me my charger is not plugged in. But this is just one just for Brad. And for those, hi, Glinda, who's joining us. Hello, Andrew. Thank you. Those who have been here for the past year, I have asked one particular question for every single person. And this has become what I now call the Roe question because he was the first one to answer it a year ago. And it's just a fun question that I like to see. We could probably compose up for every single person that's been it. We could probably create like a 30-second video. Anyway, so this question is for you, Brad. If you're reading a book, would you rather read a book about your favorite hero or your favorite villain?
Are you saying, do I want the book to be centered on the hero or the villain? Is that the question?
What would you rather read about your favorite hero or favorite villain?
Ro and I talk about this sort of thing a lot on Scarif, and you might think based off saying that I would say the villain, but no, it really is the hero. I still want the story to be about the hero with just a really good villain in it, the villain that drives the story, that the Moriarty to drive that, to drive Sherlock Holmes to do things. I want a kick-ass villain, but I still want the story focused on the hero. Like I don't, yeah, kind of what Loki says there.
Shots fired, man.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't want. There's been a lot of push lately to give sad backstories to villains and kind of almost justify. Like I don't think George Lucas was trying to justify Vader's behavior. He was giving his history, but nowadays with Maleficent and all these other stories, like they try to have these tragic backstories and make you want to sympathize with the villain, and I don't think that's right. So I think the villain is a plot device that's made to drive the hero. So still the hero. I like the hero's journey.
I love your guys' balance because this one is definitely
villain,
which is why this has become the Roe question. Are you team villain like Roe, or are you? It's going to become: are you team villain like Roe, or are you team hero like Brad?
And I know I've infected a few people on your show lately, so my job is done.
No, it's not. You have more. You got to get to work.
But Brad does have a point. I mean, an interesting villain makes for an interesting hero as well. Mm-hmm. I think when a hero becomes motivated, especially in these genre movies that we love, the science fiction and fantasy, is because of a villain that might be doing something that is not right. And I think when George and Campbell talk about the hero's journey, obviously it's one of those things where that is the primordial conflict between good and evil. I think it's one of the reasons that fight, that battle between darkness and lightness, I think that's why it resonates with us as human beings, because we do like to see hope at the end of the movie. We like to see light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why, we go to movies for escapism, but at the end of the day, we want to be assured that everything is going to be all right. Yes. And I think with movies between good guys and bad guys, I think that is kind of like the basic concept of why it is that we love to have stories told to us, whether it's in comic books, oral movies, dramas, etc. But yeah, but it's nice to kind of root for the bad guy every so often. But I'm kind of with Brad, and obviously one of our most downloaded episodes for some reason is the legacy of the bad guys, and we really dive into why it is that people like bad guys, and we touch a little on what Brad was saying regarding, having a backstory to the bad guys and why it is that all of a sudden we're starting to, empathize with evil.
Evil.
And that has, gotten to a trajectory where it's like slowly ramping up, and we ask the question, like, why is that? Why are we kind of siding with the bad guy nowadays? But it's an interesting kind of a psychological thing that we put ourselves through, and as with any piece of entertainment, we kind of take a look at what's going around in our lives, in the world, in society, to be able to kind of change our mindset, whether it's good or bad.
Because the crappy end result is The Acolyte.
We're not. I don't even, Brad. I don't even have anything to say about it. Me. Yeah. It's so odd for me because I am always usually a silver lining. I find something. I will say I did like some of the music. I did like some of the visual effects, but that's it. Like this has been really hard. Acolyte was very hard for me to process because it was the first time where I was just like, next to the series Willow, which I was so mad because I wanted Willow. I wanted it in the worst way. And then when they did him dirty, I just feel really bad for
Loki. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't. This is not my show.
Also,
you will not bait me, Loki.
Well, he can pay you for a hot minute, but I'm going to real quick run it over to you and Ro because I have to check my charger because my charger all of a sudden just went. Oh, by the way,
you're not charging.
Well, I don't know why it's not. But if you guys could also let us know what's coming up for Scare Podcast and where to find everybody, I'm going to take a 30-second and I'll be right back. But I trust it with these two because he's the man behind the screen, and well, he's his partner. So
he's just the man.
He's just the man.
I mean, what a missed opportunity. All right, she's gone. Hey, Loki, you know what? Screw you. No, wait. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah, try winning a war with nice words and compliments and see how that goes for you.
See how that goes. Yeah.
Okay. You need to be a little bit bad to do good. Okay. But anyway, I actually know what we have coming up on Scarif. We are going to be recording soon. We're going to be recording tonight, but we had this. We forgot. I say we forgot this, but we forgot it was on the same night. Don't blow up Rose's head any more than what it already is. All right. So,
you know what? Nicole was talking about the birthday present she gave me last year. I did find it. I dropped it, but
I mean that's pretty cool. Not any better than Darth Rowe, though. All right. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I'm never going to get you another gift because I can't top that one,
You guys remember this?
Anyway, so lately we've been
actual size.
We've been you're just going to tap the whole screen now. We've been dissecting our favorite scenes from the trilogy. We took on the throne room scene from Return of the Jedi, as well as the scene where Luke meets Obi-Wan for the first time from episode 4. The next time we record, we will be talking about The Empire Strikes Back. And Ro's going to narrow it down to his favorite scene. You can't just say your favorite scenes, Ro, from Empire Strikes Back. We'll be talking about the whole movie. No, not all. So we're picking our favorite scene from Empire Strikes Back, dissecting that. It's been really fun revisiting these scenes and looking a little bit deeper into them, into the dialogue, into all the references. We've been enjoying it. If you guys have any requests for favorite scenes from any of the movies, let us know, and we'll be glad to talk about it on the show.
Except The Last Jedi.
Except The Last Jedi. And I'd have to go back and watch episode 9 if you give us episode 9, because I don't really remember it. But
yeah, I remember some of it.
Truth.
I remember all the ships at the end.
Yeah, there's more of us.
And somehow he returned. Palpatine's returned. But
we really should dissect that sentence that Poe Dameron said. Somehow Palpatine returned, and I know there was controversy regarding what people thought about Palpatine returning after Vader threw him down the shaft and redeemed himself. Was it a waste? Was it fulfillment? Was it a cheap shot of just bringing Palpatine in? And then what does that mean
Yes.
to Anakin's sacrifice? So I think that would be a pretty good deep dive
Come see.
one day.
One day.
Kitty.
I know. So we're going to have to get back on track a little bit because sadly I don't know if it's my phone charger, my phone charger. I promise we're not on a phone because Ro would be upset with me by now. He knows, he remembers back in the days. My charger is being a stinker and either I need a new charger or something's going on with my laptop. So we're going to go and get this train, everything back on the rails. That is Miss Galinda behind us. At some point we'll see Alphaba. She'll usually pops up. So anywho, all right. So first question up, because this is the fun part of just getting to know my fellow bookworms. It's 5 fun questions.
Woo-hoo.
Okay. So if you could have dinner with your favorite author in Scarif, who would it be?
Favorite author in Scarif?
Yeah, you get to go visit Scarif. Mm-hmm.
Oh, to have lunch at the Scarif Cafe with my favorite author, Vertical Nicole. And I remember Vertical Nicole. Those were the days.
Not like that, but yeah.
She's come so far.
It's true.
And now I like Horizontal Nicole. Wait a minute. That sounded better in my head.
My name is not Garza Whip. Anyways, okay. Your guys is who's your favorite author and who are you gonna take? Who are you gonna take with to have dinner? Yeah, you know, it's good. You're gonna have this dinner, you're gonna have fun. Go to the cantinas.
Do they have to be alive?
No, it's your choice. I'm cool.
Alive, I already talked about him. Brandon Sanderson, amazing writer. Not so alive, H.P. Lovecraft, and the amount of stuff in that guy's head is insane, and you know the horror genre wouldn't exist if it weren't for Lovecraft. So
I beg to differ. Thank you.
No, I mean you can. There's people before him, but no one made it like he did.
Without Mary Shelley, without Dracula, without other certain very important horror movies.
Bram Stoker is important. Mary Shelley.
Oh my God, my brain's ruined there.
I know.
Favorite books.
I can't believe he said that.
Know those. I know. Shish you. So this is what happens when you get to know each other. Anywho, without those authors, they were trailblazers. So I understand where you come from because it's your perspective. However, I think it's important to have had those pioneers in order to
even if it's wrong.
blaze those trails.
Yeah, Ro gives me that all the time.
Well, we hang out. It happens. It's what we do, right?
Yep.
All right, Ro, what's your answer?
Non-living, I would like to chat with Mary Shelley. I think she had some interesting thoughts. I wanted to kind of dive deep into, you know, the notion of Frankenstein and some of the meta stuff that she was talking about in the book. I think that would be a lot of fun. And then living, let's hang out with Charles Soule again.
Yeah,
that was cool. That was cool.
Then I want him to write a novel about 2 podcasters that take over the planet by talking about Star Wars on their show, calling everybody scuttlebutters.
When you meet Mary Shelley, please ask her why she kept her husband's heart in her desk, please, for me. Thanks.
Yeah. That would be fantastic.
I have questions. I want to know what in the world was up with that.
I got a list.
You got a list? Oh, wow. He's got a list. Okay. So next question. Okay. So for you, Brad, this is different for Ro. Okay. Because Ro is, well, yeah, you'll understand in a second. So Brad, you get to take, who is your favorite book hero? And you guys get to take a trip somewhere. Who's your favorite hero and what trip are you guys going to take?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, for Ro, it's Vader.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I keep going back. It's the Mistborn series. The the lead is a female character. Her name is Vin, 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 uh, and yeah, she's a badass in all senses of the word. Um, where to? Uh, Got to be someplace in Europe, which is a lot like the setting for the book. Maybe Paris. We're going to Paris. We're going to France.
Cool. A side question is this Vin? Is she kind of like Garza Fwip? I'm just curious.
She is a way cooler version of Luke Skywalker.
Okay. Is she kind of like Marjade then? Like
she's I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say she comes from very humble. I mean, when I say this is a lot like Star Wars and in a different fantasy world, like she comes from very humble beginnings, and she has a much rougher backstory than what Luke does. And then when she does come into her powers and figure them out, she's just an absolute menace. It's amazing.
Awesome. All right, Ro, where are you and Vader going? I mean, unless you really want to invite Garza Fwip, but she hasn't been in a book yet. So
no, let's I'm gonna take Electra, and she's gonna introduce me to her parents in Greece.
They're just gonna go back to your place.
I see how that went. Woo!
For
he left
reasons.
Vader in the dust for Electra, folks. Okay,
I mean, come on.
You heard it here first. Wow.
You're taking Jennifer Garner?
To run with that. Whoa. Vader might have questions for you, Patrick. I'm just saying good luck to you. May the force be with you. Okay. So next question for you guys that I have written here. What is a favorite book that you have read more than once? And that you would recommend, of course, but yeah, multiple times.
I gotta think about one that I haven't been talking about this whole time. The Darth Bane trilogy, and with that, Darth Plagueis, the Darth Plagueis book by James Luceno.
So I'm going to ask a side question before Ro jumps in. That's why this bothers you with the Acolyte, doesn't it? Because you've read the books that you like and you love, and they just took in
that were true to, and they add so much validity to the prequel trilogy. Like they make the midichlorians make sense. They make the plot line going into episode 1, make more sense. The taxation of trade routes, like it gives the backstory of what that means. And so if you read, I've told people this many times, if you read the Darth Bane trilogy and then you read Darth Plagueis and then you immediately watch episode 1, you have an entire storyline going across 1,000 years, and it is fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ro?
Again, it's I've mentioned it before. I don't read a lot, and I wish I did, because again, when I sit down to a good book, it's like, oh, this was fantastic. I mentioned this book a while ago, and I think it's at this moment is the only book that I really remember reading more than once in the last, I don't know, 2-3 years. And it's Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, by Ransom Riggs. It's a trilogy of books, but the first one really captures a weird, what's up, Bob? It really captures a weird dichotomy and group of characters with the kids and their powers, and the fact that the main character and the
pictures are in the book.
And the pictures in the book, I mean, one of the things that I love about that book really too is that how it uses these old pictures to kind of help illustrate, what's going on in the house with the characters and their weird powers. And it's it makes it gives it an extra level of realism to me, just flipping through those pictures and then reading about the kids and their powers and their abilities and stuff like that. It's really fantastic. And again, they made a movie out of it, and then the movie is like 30% of what the book is. They tried, but it's there's nothing. You always talk about what's better, the book or the movie. Obviously the book is always going to be better, but
always.
92.3765% of the time. But it's it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful book, and it's one of those books that I just couldn't put down. I just kept reading and reading.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope one day that you guys will choose that book in the reading room.
The suggestions and join us anytime, Ro.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
Awesome. Okay, now we're going to go completely opposite, because sometimes there is just books that we just do not jive with us, and that's fine. Have you ever read a book that you just couldn't finish? You just couldn't.
Yeah.
And if so, what book and why?
Whatever that last High Republic book was that I was reading that I don't even know the name of.
Yes.
And
for me, it was the second one. I've read the first one and I'm like, eh. Then I bought the second one and I'm like, I couldn't finish it.
No, couldn't do it.
I'm not going to mention the author's name, but yes, before this one, Mr. Brad went out to serve our country. Thank you, sir. There was a book you and I were chatting about, and it's one of the High Republic books. I remember the author's name, can't remember the book name. And I like her other books. Didn't like this one.
Yeah, I think it was Claudia.
Totally
Yeah, it was. I think it was Claudia Grace, because I think she wrote the second in the series. And I think Kevin Scott wrote the first one.
Fallen Star.
Yeah, and I just, it's nothing against her writing necessarily. I don't like what they were doing with the entire project. I didn't like the way they framed it, or how they presented the Jedi, and they all had to work within a certain structure. Because we had her on the show, and I absolutely love her other books, Star Wars books that she did. So it's nothing against her. It's just I could not buy into the High Republic.
I want to say, though, there was also, you and I talked about, I can remember this. It's been a long time, though. And there was like something sexual, something that was like rubbed us wrong, that you're like, oh my God, did you guys read this? And I remember it being in our group chat. And then I went ahead and just went to you instead and went, oh my gosh, you're right. This seems wrong. This is wrong. And why would they write this? And I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something that just didn't sit well. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Something even recent this past week, I started watching a show on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it just offhand, but I was really sickened because they, this parent in this Netflix series, writes his daughter's Snapchat crush or whatever, right? After she leaves, he's like, well, you're in the clear. You can go now. Like, he fixed something for her. He keeps writing the young kid. And I'm like, okay, this is, and no, Patrick was not Chase. This is, it's a newer one with Kirsten Bell. It's actually about a Jewish rabbi, and if you can believe it, a podcaster, podcast about sex.
You're watching the Chris. Oh yeah, that, I think my wife tried to watch that one and she said it wasn't any good either.
Nobody wants this. That's what it's called. And I kind of liked the first episode, but then this moment happened and I just couldn't get myself past it, just the same way I couldn't get myself past this one moment in this one book in the Claudia Gray. And again, I've read other Claudia Gray books. She's a great author, and, I definitely follow her, definitely, check her out. But I just like that same thing. I couldn't I couldn't. I'm like, why was this necessary? I always ask that question. Why is some certain things necessary? If it doesn't help the book, it doesn't help the plot, doesn't help, what's the point? Or in this case, why are they promoting adults talking to young children in a certain manner?
Because Netflix.
Hollywood, who puts us all like on this pedestal, to not do that, which we shouldn't do that, morally it's wrong. So I was just like, okay, not cool. Anywho, that's my 2 cents. Well, I don't know about that. I've not seen any recent numbers.
Oh, the numbers are horrible. It has almost a 94% drop off rate.
Really? I did.
Yeah.
I have a few that I meant to go back and read. So I have the first one, which I like, Charles Soule. I meant to go back to read the Kevin Scott one that connects to his, just to read it, to see how much it connected. And honestly, I think if they should have done his and then just done Kevin's and then moved along, because maybe they would have had better retention. I don't know, because after that,
I even made myself read the entire Chuck Wendig trilogy, back in the day with Empire's End, but I could make it through that. There were some things in that I couldn't stomach either.
Right.
But I made it, but I couldn't do it this time.
Yeah. We did read the Chuck Wendig series. Something we all decided in book club was that, and this is one of the reasons why next year we're reading a variety of genres, but then we're also going to throw in at least one Star Wars, is that we felt like we got too burnt out. We're like, oh my God, it probably would have been better if we would have waited a few months and fresh, because we went from Heir to the Empire to Martians to that. And we didn't have much window, like much time on the in-between. So we were like, next time we're probably going to just do like a little bit of a wait, which is what we're doing for next year. So, wow.
I got into a fight with Chuck Wendig on Twitter years ago, and it was amazing. But that was one of my, it was like my 4th or 5th Twitter account. I don't know if you can still find it or not.
4 Twitter accounts ago.
Yeah.
4 Twitter. Wow. Back when it was called Twitter.
It's still called Twitter.
I call it Twix.
You would.
Twix. All right, you guys. Well, let's go ahead and get one more question in. And if anybody has any questions for Brad and Ro, please drop them in the chat. That would be a good time to go and do that now. Okay, so last question. Okay, bear with me. Would you rather have your all-time favorite character erased from the story, or 10 of your favorite characters erased from their stories? I'm going to leave you guys on a hard one.
Ask again. What was it?
Say that one more time.
Okay, here we go. Would you rather, this is a would you rather. I know this one's a little bit harder. Would you rather have your all-time favorite character erased from their story, or 10 of your other favorite characters erased from their stories?
Oh,
I know. I'm on evil path, I guess. I'm feeling very villainous. This is what happens when I hang out with Ro too long.
That's an interesting question too, because for me, my favorite character is tied to some of my other favorite characters. So I would have to examine how the erasure of one wouldn't affect the other.
And I was watching Big Bang Theory yesterday, and apparently if you take Indiana Jones out of Raiders of the Lost Ark, it doesn't impact the story at all. So I guess I'm going to go with my favorite character erased to kind of take it for the team for the rest of them.
He went on to scare like in Rogue One. Took one for the team.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. You guys got some questions here. What book do you own that you still haven't opened the cover of? I got a lot myself.
I've got a lot, and that's not because I don't like them. It's because I love collecting books, and I love going to used bookstores. So I'm going to eventually get to them. But
Yeah.
there's a bunch.
Same.
Yeah, I do. Not unlike album covers, I like buying books because the covers are cool. Oh, kitty. So I do have a couple of books that I have not read or even opened them. I
Mhm.
probably will never read that I have collected, through the years. I don't know if I have books that are still kind of like, sometimes you get books that are in cellophane.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I don't know if I have that, but I do have a couple of books that
Here, I'm
I've
done.
never opened. Oh, the new Thrawn trilogy. I think I bought the last two and I never opened them.
Well, I know I
Yeah, I
have.
still
Go ahead. I know, of course, my Claire McKenna books that I just purchased. All but the first one, but other than, I mean, I'm like you guys. I have like a massive collection. So,
Yeah.
all right. How does Star Wars change if you remove Anakin? Well, we get another character, I guess.
Yeah, that's actually a good topic for Brad and I to do a
I know.
deep dive.
There you go.
Hmm.
And Glinda has decided she's joining tonight.
I don't think it changes too much. I mean, I think the same thing would have happened except to another person. I think Palpatine still would have picked somebody
Yeah.
or made somebody if you believe that he influenced the midichlorians. He would have done it to somebody else. Same
Yeah,
as
I
My
can
luck would be
I
Grogu.
can see that. Well, you may be barking up the right tree there, because at the end of the
Probably.
day, what do we know about what Grogu's end game is?
Well, I don't know, but I know Glinda's endgame and she ends up on a podcast.
Look at her.
hey, I still haven't watched season 3 of Mandalorian. Should I do that at some point?
Yes.
No.
Yes. To
I
each
watched
their
the
own.
first
Yes.
episode before I went out to sea, and it looked like there was a bunch of Muppets in it, and I was like, "What am I watching?" And so I had no motivation. When I got back, I had no motivation to watch it
Bunch
whatsoever.
bunch of Muppets. Have you seen Return of the Jedi?
Hey, hey,
Hey, I like Muppets. Thank you.
only the special edition, so they were cheesy CGI instead of Muppets. Thank you very much.
Oh, what book would you like to see the Muppets create into a movie?
Oh,
There you
that's
go.
great.
That's a fun question.
The High Republic, so maybe be interesting.
No, you do not ruin that. No. Pick another.
Don't ruin the Muppets like that.
Or exactly.
But that's a good question. It's funny.
Well, I love Muppets, and if Andrew was in the chat, I know he would like that question too.
How about a Hobbit Muppet?
Yeah, the Hobbit Muppets. Oh, could you imagine them being like potatoes? Although
Oh,
now I can think of the Hobbit, uh, and then our missions book that we did, and then Pride and Justice. Sorry, you guys. Glinda is leaving. I have the Hobbit book that chapters are
No.
mixed. Do any of you have an error book? I will look at mine.
That's
Although
what I
I
know.
actually have to, I might not have it. I had an oopsie where a glass of coffee accidentally spilt, and when it spilled, it's went on my token collection.
Hmm.
3 of them. So I actually have to replace them. So change the time. Oh, there we go, Patrick.
That would be good. That's genius.
Actually, and I'm going to say this because again, with the I was telling the Spencer, I feel like they should create the comic books that they're doing right now with Mickey and Minnie and Donald and them. Donald Duck, Wolverine. I'm like, why aren't they creating that into like a classic animated short? Classic. I want the regular animated style, not this new stuff. I want the original, and I would think that would be awesome too.
With the multiverse, they could just have a universe that's just full of Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
Probably do.
Why haven't they done that?
Mm-hmm. All right. Any final questions from the chat for Brad Rowe? We're gonna.
What happens to the franchise if Skeleton Crew doesn't do well? I don't. Damon asked that a couple minutes
Okay.
ago. Not much.
Not much. Yeah.
No, it's the bar is pretty low right now, so you can trip over the bar.
I think Skeleton Crew is probably, besides Andor season 2, because they were kind of clumped together, but Skeleton Crew is the last of the is the last of the Star Wars programming that they had set up prior to COVID, or right around that sweet spot. So once this happens, it's done. But I think I don't think there has been any new announcements of anything that they're going to be doing new, other than, again, the news that we already know about Rey's movie, which may or may not happen, the Origin of the Jedi movie with what's his name, which may or may not happen, and the
Dave Filoni's, I believe, will happen.
Yeah, the Grogu and Mando movie is probably the only thing that's really kind of solidified, because there's, I don't know, I know there was at the investors thing there was footage, but I don't know if that was recycled footage or was that new footage from the movie. I don't think that they had started shooting.
Wasn't that one in jeopardy too, though, because of Carl Weathers dying?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
And also, who wants to see that?
So I am very curious, though, because with Skeleton Crew, again, I think this is a little bit of a generational change here, because I feel like my niece, who is slowly starting into Star Wars, thank you. There are things that she likes that I like, but she likes even more. Like between Marvel and Star Wars, and I'm wondering, is it a generational thing? Are the younger ones going to like it because that's what they're growing up with? Just like we like the OG or prequels because that's what was created at the time that we were young.
I mean, I think Star Wars is definitely generational. Wow. And that's your co-host?
I know. That's it. I'm telling Kim. I'm going to text. Oh man.
And Patrick talks about in Obi-Wan season 2, which I'm like such on the fence about, because Obi-Wan season 1 had some good things, but I think they did such a bad job at the bait and switch. Nobody wanted to see Reva and her character. I mean, people tuned in because Hayden was back, Ewan McGregor was back, Darth Vader was back. Reva kind of watered that story completely.
Well, I think if they would have made a stronger storyline for her, it would have worked, but it just didn't work the way they thought it was going to work.
But they should have done that for season 2.
Exactly.
Again, people tuned in to that show to see the characters that they were familiar with, not these new characters. And if they brought her in, she should have died when Vader first, battled her. It's like,
I will say that one of my favorite moments, though, from the newer Star Wars is still in Ahsoka when with Hayden Christensen's Vader and Ahsoka, young Ahsoka with what's her name, Goblet, something with a G, and she comes. Oh man, I have it even painted. I had Bill Media of Movies and Venture. He actually painted I have the 3 pictures.
Oh, that's right.
Of Anakin, Vader, and then there's Ahsoka, and it's his changes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just amazing. That is definitely some of my favorite moments from this past year with Star Wars. So
hey, I wanted to answer Ubaldo's question there. Yes. I was pissed because
I haven't seen it yet.
They took, which was clearly Major Tom, the 1980s Major Tom song,
Peter Schilling,
with Peter Schilling, which is not Thriller.
Not Thriller.
The fact that they took this song, I'm sure you're going to get a copyright on this.
Great. Bro, he's going to get me kicked off.
I'll send you the email.
And they turned that into a little Star Wars song. I love that song.
It was translated to Hattis.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
that just it pissed me off so much. Like, what? It was bad enough when the Acolyte had the that music at the end of one of their episodes. You know, some new music at the end of one of the Acolytes, and now they're doing that. No, man, this they've lost it.
Yeah,
They don't know how to make a Star Wars anymore.
I think they do. I think they're just, behind the scenes. I bet you they're probably battling out a little bit.
Yeah,
They need a trusty.
I've heard that. I've heard that too. I mean, I've heard that some people at ILM were like, the Acolyte's not going to work, guys. I've heard that from some confidential sources, but it's funny because, obviously they sold us on the Skeleton Crew being Goonies in space. Goonies, obviously a favorite, 80s movie, adventures, et cetera, et cetera. So what else are you going to add to kind of add to that 80s, mysticism and the magic of the 80s? Well, let's see if we can turn an 80s song into Hatis and bring it into Star Wars. I hope that the song is not actually in the movie, similar to the Acolyte, where the Acolyte's, hip hop song or whatever was at the ending credits. I don't really mind the ending credit stuff, but when it's in the movie, like what they did with Willow, and what I call the Lady Hawk, the Lady Hawk syndrome of putting in, these modern tunes in the actual movie as part of background music. That's where it bothers me.
Yeah. I guess we'll see, right? I mean, sometimes it's one of those, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, but I couldn't finish Willow, so I forced myself to finish Willow. For Danny, because I was, moderating, and she was we were having trolls. So that's why I forced myself to finish Acolyte. But Willow, I'm very sad to say that, because I really wanted a Willow. I was expecting something wonderful and great. I wanted so much for that show, for that movie. I loved it. So
I think everybody did.
Yeah, we were.
Everybody did. Willow is one of those movies that found its following. Kind of like a little cult classic. It's historic from a technical aspect, so that's one of the reasons I love it. It's a great story. Again, penned by George Lucas, and who co-wrote that? Chris Claremont? No.
Well, I wanted to say, Willow might be based off of something real.
No. The guy that co-wrote Empire Strikes Back. The fuck is his name?
Not off the top of my head. But with all the books out there, I am really disappointed. Like, why was Walt Disney able to find all these various authors, meet them? They kind of like with Mary Poppins, she almost didn't even give him the rights, even at the tip end. P.L. Travers. If he was able to meet these wonderful authors and get their stories and get approvals, I know currently, thankfully, Reese Witherspoon's doing this with her book club. She is actually, getting rights and also making books into movies. So why is Hollywood not tapping into it other than Reese Witherspoon? Why are they not doing that? Why are we not getting original content or getting these books? There's so many out there. Like, is Your Mrs. Bourne, is that a book yet? Is that a movie or a series? Like, why? I don't understand. They have so many chances, people. So many chances.
Well, I know Brandon Sanderson's been holding that one close to the chest, because he wants, if he's thought about it, but he wants very close creative control, because he doesn't want, he's created a whole, he's one of those authors that has a universe that spans across different storylines, and that's his baby, and he doesn't want a studio to screw that up. So
Sounds
he's
like
just, he's been waiting for the right opportunity where they won't just destroy the storyline.
That's part of it, Loki. And then I think that's part of Hollywood's problem regarding recreating and revamping and rebooting all these, favorite movies from the olden times. But the other thing too is that good writers cost money, and if you get a writer for cheap that'll be a yes man or a yes woman, to write a story, then you got a bargain for the investors. I think to bring somebody in that has been tried and true with fans and stuff like that, it's they know that the pricing at the negotiation table is going to be a little on the high side, and I don't think they, after paying Lucasfilm, after paying George the 4.2 billion, that's a tough ticket.
Speaking of George, he actually was the one to write Willow, and it came out on January 12th, 1988. There you go. Fun fact. Because we got we're talking about books in this. So.
Excellent.
All right, you guys. Well, this has been a very fun night celebrating the 1 year of On the Fives. It has been so wonderful to have you both here. I'm very excited. Thank you. It's so great to have you back, Ro, on. I mean, you've been here now, I think your third time, maybe more. I mean, you've been here more.
1 year. That's fantastic.
So, but thank you to everybody in the chats. I know I heard you guys saying something earlier. When are you guys? What's the next thing? What is coming up for those who are, real
soon? Quick. We're going to be recording some stuff soon.
Awesome. Well, make sure you guys check out Scare Podcast. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. It has been wonderful again. Thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, Brad and Ro, for joining me and geeking out about books and just having fun talking about Doctor Who. We got a little off the rails, but you know what? That is part of the fun here at the Red Five. We love just to hang out and getting to know each other, and that's really important. So, anyways, thank you, and I will see you guys next time on the Fives. You guys have a good night. Bye.